So Obama has a webcast video Friday, a sort of a pre-Castro-like speech for the speech to his most loyal fanatics. And among other things, here's what he says. Cut 2, go.
In a lot of ways, my address on Tuesday will be a bookend to what I said in Kansas last month about the central mission we have as a country and my central focus as president. And that's rebuilding an economy where hard work pays off and responsibility is rewarded. And an America where everybody gets a fair shot, everyone does their fair share, and everybody plays by the same set of rules. I talked in Osawatomie about this is a make or break moment for the middle class and folks trying to work their way into the middle class. Because we can go in two directions. One is towards less opportunity and less fairness, or we can fight for where I think we need to go. Building an economy that works for everyone, not just a wealthy few.
So there's a speech that has no connection whatsoever to his record. Not just a wealthy few, like Solyndra, like the Bundlers, like GE. Not just a wealthy few. Right? Let me ask you folks something. Does this seem like a fair society to you since Obama's been elected president? Is there more opportunity? Is hard work paying off more since Obama's been president? He says this is what he's been working for. This is what he wants. Everyone does their fair share. Is everyone doing their fair share? It seems to me more and more takers are out there with Obama spreading the wealth. Everybody plays by the same set of rules. Really? They do? Well, these contracts that go to favored political hacks, did everybody play by the same bankruptcy rules when GM and Chrysler were subsidized? Who's he kidding? But it's worse than that. He wants to lay out a new blueprint for an economy that's built to last. So a community organizer who trashed capitalism, a state senator who did next to nothing for 10 years, a senator who barely knew where the men's room was, and a president who's done more destruction in this economy than any president in my lifetime, he's going to create a blueprint for going forward for a lasting economy. More when I come back. Now, here is also Obama yesterday informing his fanatic following of what else he's going to do at tomorrow night's State of the Union address. Cut 3, go.
I'm going to lay out a blueprint for an economy that's built to last. American manufacturing with more good jobs and more products stamped with Made in America. American energy fueled by homegrown and alternative energy sources. Skills for American workers. Getting people the education and training they need so they're ready to take on the jobs of today and tomorrow. And most importantly, a return to American values. Of fairness for all and responsibility from all. They're big ideas because we've got to meet this moment. And this speech is going to be about how we do it.
All right, folks, what we're going to do on this program, State of the Union, through this election process and right up to Election Day, is inform ourselves so we can inform others. I'm going to do something that's not often done, certainly not in the media, not in talk radio. We're going to take some time from time to time, and we're going to school ourselves. And this is one of those times. You've heard Obama. You're probably thinking, oh my God, how do we get over this class warfare and collectivism stuff? Well, it's actually easy if you know what's going on. So let's begin this process. You and I said we would. If you have a Meritopia, pull it out. If you don't, just follow along with us. Because this is crucial. This is absolutely crucial. Now, as I write in the first chapter, the tyranny of utopia, you hear how this president talks. He puts out these big, ambitious dreams and so forth. Tyranny, broadly defined, is the use of power to dehumanize the individual and delegitimize his nature. Utopianism is tyranny disguised as a desirable, workable, and paradisiacal governing ideology. In other words, a paradise. There are, of course, unlimited utopian constructs, for the mind is capable of infinite fantasies. But there are common themes. The fantasies take the form of grand social plans or experiments, the impracticability and impossibility of which, in small ways and large, lead to the individual's subjugation. I've played you 2 clips of Obama. Never once did he talk about individual liberty. Never once did he talk about unleashing the American economy. Never once. Unable to make detailed or precise sociological predictions, long-term forecasts of great sweep and significance not only are intended to compensate for utopian shortcomings, but are the only forecasts it considers worth pursuing. As a friend of mine just wrote me, if he has such a brilliant blueprint, why did he wait 3 years to roll it out? And the answer is because they're always rolling out blueprints. That's the nature of the beast. Utopianism is irrational in theory and practice, for it ignores or attempts to control the planned and unplanned complexity of the individual, his nature, and mankind generally. It ignores, rejects, or perverts the teachings and knowledge that have come before, that is, man's historical, cultural, and social experience and development. The great Eric Hoffer, he put it this way. And he said that for men to plunge headlong into an undertaking of vast change, they must be intensely discontented, and they must have the feeling that by the possession of some potent doctrine, infallible leader, or some new technique, they have access to a source of irresistible power. They must also have an extravagant conception of the prospects and potentialities of the future. They must be wholly ignorant of the difficulties involved in their vast undertaking. Experience to this person is a handicap. That's Hoffer. Utopianism substitutes glorious predictions and unachievable promises for knowledge, science, and reason while laying claim to all of them. Yet there's nothing new in deception disguised as hope, and nothing original in abstraction framed as progress. They believe nothing good can come of self-interest, which is condemned as morally indefensible and empty. Especially threatening, therefore, are the industrious, independent, and successful, for they demonstrate what is actually possible under current societal conditions, that is, achievement, happiness, and fulfillment, contradicting and endangering the utopian campaign against what is and what was. Now, they must be either co-opted and turned into useful contributors to or advocates for the state, like Immelt and Buffett and so forth, or neutralized through sabotage or other means, that is, regulations and taxes and so forth. Indeed, the individual's contribution to society must be downplayed, dismissed, or denounced, unless the contribution is directed by the state and involves self-sacrifice for the utopian cause. This is the context which will give you complete understanding of what we're dealing with today and tomorrow's State of the Union speech. I go on in Ameritopia. Utopianism also attempts to shape and dominate the individual by doing 2 things at once. It strips the individual of his uniqueness, making him indistinguishable from the multitudes that form what is commonly referred to as the masses. But it simultaneously assigns him a group identity based on race, ethnicity, age, gender, income, etc., to highlight differences within the masses. It then exacerbates old rivalries and disputes, or it incites new ones. This way it can speak to the well-being of the people as a whole, while dividing them against themselves, thereby stampeding them in one direction or another as necessary to collapse the existing society or rule over a new one. As I explain these things, folks, think about Obama. Think about what's been going on in this administration and prior administrations. Where utopianism is advanced through gradualism rather than revolution, albeit steady and persistent as in democratic societies, it can deceive and disarm an unsuspecting population, which is largely content and passive. It is sold as reforming and improving the existing society's imperfections and weaknesses without imperiling its basic nature. And under these conditions, it is mostly ignored, dismissed, or tolerated by much of the citizenry and celebrated by some. Transformation is deemed innocuous, well-intentioned, and perhaps constructive, but not a dangerous trespass on fundamental liberties. Utopianism also finds a receptive audience among the society's disenchanted, disaffected, dissatisfied, and maladjusted, who are unwilling or unable to assume responsibility for their own real or perceived conditions, but instead blame their surroundings, quote-unquote, the system and others. They are lured by the false hopes and promises of utopian transformation and the criticism of the existing society, to which their connection is tentative or non-existent. Improving the malcontent's lot becomes linked to the utopian cause. Moreover, disparaging and diminishing the successful and the accomplished becomes an essential tactic. No one should be better than anyone else, regardless of the merits or value of his contributions. By exploiting human frailties, frustrations, jealousies, and inequities, a sense of meaning and self-worth is created in the malcontent's otherwise unhappy and directionless life. I wrote this before there was an Occupy Wall Street movement. Simply put, here's the key. Equality in misery, that is, equality of result or conformity, is advanced as a just, fair, and virtuous undertaking. Liberty, therefore, is inherently immoral, except where it avails equality. Equality in this sense is a form of radical egalitarianism that has long been the subject of grave concern by advocates of liberty. You heard this in the two clips I played of Obama just a few minutes ago. Friedrich Hayek, the great Austrian school economist, wrote, "Equality of the general rules of law and conduct is the only kind of equality conducive to liberty and the only equality which we can secure without destroying liberty. Not only has liberty nothing to do with any other sort of equality, but it is even bound to produce inequality in many respects. This is the necessary result and part of the justification of individual liberty. If the result of individual liberty did not demonstrate that some manners of living are more successful than others, much of the case for liberty would vanish.